everybody, my name is Heather, and today I am going through my February TBR. I have decided to read through some of my old favorite childhood and teenage books. I got most of them as a teenager or as a child. There are other books that I don't have anymore because I lost in either a move or I checked them out from the library or borrowed from somebody. Either way, I have some books that I will start with and other books I will get from the library or wherever I can. And so I will tell you about the first book that I will be reading this month. The first book is The Two Princesses of Bamar. I read this book as a 6th grader, 7th grader. I got it at a scholastic book fair. And I loved it so much. It was paperback, and I loved it so much that I even drew Meryl, which is the brunette right here. I drew her, and I read the book so much that it fell apart, and I had to get a completely different one, which I didn't get till a few years ago because I thought about it and found this on thrift books and got it so I could read it with my daughter. Then the second book I will be reading is Shattered Mirror by Amelia Atwater Rhodes. It is well loved and well worn. It's got a few pages torn up. The cover is torn up. And honestly, I'm surprised it's not falling apart, or the binding hasn't fallen apart, because I read this one so many times as a teenager. This was my favorite out of all of her books. I don't know why, it just was. This is about a young woman who is a vampire hunter and a witch. She ends up befriending and eventually falling in love with one of the vampires. I know that I'm probably not going to feel the same about this book now as I did as a teenager, so I'm kind of not looking forward to reading this one, because my nostalgia factor is just going to be ruined, probably. Anyway, most of these books I read, well, not most of them, all of these books I read as a teenager, and that was before I was even saved and before I knew the things that I know now. And so a lot of these books are, as soon as I finish reading them, I will probably be putting them out the door because I don't really have a reason to keep them anymore. I don't really have any attachment to them anymore, so they will probably be going. The third book I'm going to be reading, it's actually a series. It's the Mediator series, which is up here, 1 through 6, by Meg Cabot. It is about a young woman who can see ghosts. And I'm just now thinking I didn't give a description of the Two Princesses of Bamar. I'll go back and do that. So the Mediator series is about a young girl. She's a teenage girl who can see ghosts, and so she goes and she mediates them to the afterlife, which is why it's called the Mediator. She actually has a ghost that lives in her family house, and she keeps all of this a secret from her family, which is actually a blended family. Her mother was, I think, either divorced and remarried, and so her step siblings don't know about her seeing ghosts. So that is what this series is about. I loved it, and I think one of my other sisters read it and loved it as well. So I'm interested to see, just because some of those things that are coming to mind, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I thought this was okay as a teenager. Looking back as a mom, that is not okay. And I'll explain a little more in the actual befores. Speaking of which, I will go back to The Two Princesses of Bamar. The Two Princesses of Bamar is a book about two sisters who are princesses, obviously, in the kingdom of Bamar. There is a great, terrible sickness going around called the Grey Death, which is eerily similar to the bubonic plague, but there are different steps in the Grey Death that they go through, and so one of them ends up with the sickness and the other one goes to find the cure. And it is one of my favorite, and I loved it so much because it was such a great sisterly bond. It does have a little bit of romance from what I remember, but the majority of it is really focused on the love between the sisters, and I loved that even as a younger girl. It was one of my favorites, especially because I have sisters of my own, so having a book about the bonds of sisters, siblings, it was really great. Now, for how I'm going to do these videos, I will do a before video on how I feel about the book before, and then I will read the book and then give you how I feel about the book now. So how I remember and how I feel about it, like nostalgia wise and all of the stuff, and then I will give you a very thorough review and how I feel about it now and whether or not I will be keeping it. A lot of factors will go into it, and I will go a little bit deeper into areas of why I won't be keeping a book and why I will be keeping a book. But that is what I have for the month of February. I do have other books that I want to read as well, but if I don't get through all of these in the month of February, because it is a short month and I don't have a whole lot of time to read, just a couple hours a night, an hour maybe two a night, and then I also only have limited time on the weekend because of other obligations that we have on the weekend. So I'm trying to make time to read. I will be trying to go through these as quickly as possible. They are relatively easy and short reads, so it shouldn't be that long. I'm hoping I can get through at least 2 books a week. If not, at least one a week. So that'll be 4 books. So I'll at least get through the 2 Princesses of Beaumoir, Shattered Mirror, and at least 2 of the Mediator series. And then I plan on taking a break of March and switching to something else. And then maybe in April go back to reading more. Or maybe I'll just continue on in March just to see. It really depends on how you guys are liking the series and how I am enjoying doing it, and if I'm frustrated with it. We'll just see when the time comes. But that is what I have for February, and I hope you guys are excited about it as I am, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye!